What's going on, everybody? Average Arcader here, and it's time for us to continue our coverage on Everbloom in our Spotlight segment. Today, we are joined by a new team member. So, for our first question, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Who are you?
Hello everyone, I am Kwa. I am the audio lead for Everbloom Games.
Now, I actually have been looking forward to this interview because one of the things I love about Everbloom is the audio quality between all the different things. So let's go ahead and get right to it. What exactly is your job description? Like, what do you do?
So I'd like to say I do pretty much everything related to audio. As the lead, really I have a hand in almost every aspect of audio. Now I don't necessarily design everything, but in terms of planning, making sure things are up to our quality standards, making sure all audio stuff goes smoothly, answering questions, coordinating with our other departments. Anything related to that, I take care of. As for design, I mean, we have mob sounds, we have cutscene sounds, we have voiceovers. Sometimes we compose music. I don't compose music, but we do have a composer, Kyle, who does a number of music tracks for our maps when possible. Otherwise, figuring out what royalty-free music will work well, and just coordinating everything related to audio.
And just to give you guys a pat on the back, thank Gil so much for making sure it's royalty free.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much that helps guys like me who like to make content on your stuff as well as stream your stuff, because that can get pretty hectic when you work a long time on a video or a stream and it turns out you can't do nothing with it because it's been content playing.
Right. Yeah, we definitely want to help our content creators. I mean, you do a great service to us by showcasing our maps and playing through and even giving us feedback and reviews. So, I mean, all those are great things that we look forward to having. So we definitely want to make sure you can play our maps safely and show them off.
And we truly appreciate that. So how big is your team?
So my team is a team of three. I'm the audio lead. We have Kyle Lydian, who's one of our sound designers. We also have Patrick, Pants McGee, who is another one of our sound designers. At times for like voice actors, we go outside the team, or TRS also records a lot of our characters. And sometimes I may voice a character, or we may have other members on the team voice characters. So in that regards, we're kind of spread out more, but for our core team, it's just three.
Okie dokie. Thank you for shouting out their names. I truly appreciate that because I want people to know who they are. So, how long have you been at Everbloom?
So marketplace stuff I've been doing since the beginning. My first map was on Jurassic Depths, and I've pretty much been working on every single map since then that has been released, and even those that haven't been released yet. I actually came into Everbloom a bit before that. I don't recall the year, but I've been building professionally in Minecraft since maybe 2012 or so. So we're coming up on 10 years of, I don't know, being a professional Minecrafter, I suppose. So I actually came into Everbloom through the Minecraft Architects Union, which was a group of builders who we did build commissions for servers. So that actually merged into Everbloom after they rebranded from Mystic Absence, and then we were part of their commissioning department. And then once commissions kind of slowed down and the team transitioned over to the marketplace, I stopped building and started doing sound work.
Okie dokie. So you said you oversee basically from the music, background music, to the mob individual sounds and sound effects, all the way to voice acting. Okay, so did you get a chance to work on Space Adventure? I currently did.
Space Adventure, yes.
That was like, whose idea was it to add the ambient sounds? Because if you sit in that game, you hear a lot of ambient sounds depending on what planet you're on, and
Right.
that had to take a long time. How did you guys do all that?
So as for the original idea, I can't remember who exactly brought it up, but I know at that time period we wanted to transition to start focusing on ambience more. Some of our opening maps they may have had ambience, but it was just like let's just throw something in there to fill the space. But it was more on like mob sounds, for example. So at that period we did want to focus more on ambience, and I think I did the sounds for that. I'm not sure. But I believe that was old enough. It was just me doing sound at that time, so it would have been, I guess, me by default. As for putting stuff together, really, I like to look at the concept art. Usually, we have a great selection. Either the builders put together, or the art team puts together, so I can really figure out a mood. And my style of sound design is more, what do I think it should feel like? And I think that actually communicates things better rather than trying to get super technical of like, it needs to have these pitches. It's like, you could, and sure, it would sound great if you were really good at that, but I think it's just easier to think from a player's perspective. What would the player expect here? And how do we want them to feel, and try to match something towards that? And then from there, I usually go hunting for samples. Look through a number of sounds in public domain, might be creating some sounds as well, and then usually I might pick 5 to 8 sounds and kind of blend them together, and then apply a bunch of effects to achieve the final sound that you hear in game.
Okie dokie. So what would you say is the hardest part of a job? Like, say, like when you did Space Adventure, what was the hardest part in your department to do?
So first there was a lot of VO for that map, lots and lots of voiceovers.
Yes, there is.
And we did want to have a bit of a progression through the voiceovers. So over time, characters might be more frustrated with one another, or the character progresses as you play through the map. And also depending on what choices you make, things need to feel different. So going through all the voiceover takes and trying to pick those out, I mean, I have like tons of takes for each line that you hear. I need to listen through all those and kind of try to piece together in my brain how that single character progression is going to go. Also try to match that up with the other characters and make sure they're interacting correctly, because they didn't record all these takes together. They recorded individually, so I need to make sure they worked well together. So that was quite time consuming. And there were a couple scenes, like in the introduction, there was like a spaceship crash scene,
Yes.
Which was pretty much all audio, and that was, I believe, one of my first like audio only scenes. So I ended up putting lots and lots of time into that, and there's lots of little sounds in there, which I think worked out pretty good. Of course, now I'm looking at maps that haven't released and going, oh boy, things have progressed much more since then. But at the time, that was pretty new for me to do something like that.
They did a really good job for your first one. Like I said, I recently did a showcase on that. I played it a long time ago before I became a YouTuber. So, and I really loved it, and it was really sad when I saw that it wasn't as popular as I thought it should be. That's why it's one of the reasons why I did a showcase of it recently. And fortunately, a lot of people have contacted me and said they didn't know about it and they're looking it up. I'm very happy about that, because I could tell a lot of work, especially from the sound department, went into that add-on, and you did a really good job on it for it being one of your first ones to do like that.
Yeah, and there's a number of maps that don't do as well as we hope. I mean, we try to make good maps always, so it's not like we hope this one flops and this one does, we hope all of our maps do great, but I mean, it's just the nature of the marketplace that sometimes things don't do as well as we thought they would.
I think another thing that was against that one was it was an earlier one, and
for sure
the marketplace at the time, it was doing good, but not as many people knew about the marketplace when that one released. It wasn't as popular or as big as it is now.
For sure.
So you said that they record everything separately. So how often, like, when you've worked with people, yeah, where have they been from? Like, have they been like all over the world type, or?
So, from my understanding, people have been kind of all over. I'd say well, I know of a few in other countries, but to be not really something I look for. A lot of our voice actors we find online, so it's not like we know them locally or anything. They really could be anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, just from like their accents, like their regular talking accents, you can kind of figure it out. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty diverse.
Which is always cool. Always cool.
Hmm.
So we talked about one of the hardest things. What's your favorite thing to do? Like
Favorite
in the
thing?
process.
So I like quick and dirty is my favorite thing to do and just crank out a bunch of stuff. But I'd say the most rewarding thing would be some of those audio cutscenes, I suppose. Just because I have a bit more creative freedom, I'm not necessarily, I don't need to match timings with certain animations. I usually have pretty much however much time I need to communicate. You know, I'm not restricted to here's your 5 seconds. You know, we can make it 5 to 10 seconds. It doesn't matter very much. And then there's just a lot of freedom in those audio only scenes that I don't know. I enjoy the freedom. I get a lot of creative expression to work with, and I don't know. They take a long time, but very rewarding.
No, yeah, you did say it take a long time. If you were to say the average time for your average map, how long would you have to work on it?
Well, I don't always work on the maps all at once. We have several like stages, I suppose, depending on what we're waiting on. For example, if something needs to be timed to an animation, well, we need the animation. Or sometimes we make the sounds first and the animation gets timed to that. And sometimes there's things in game that require timing, so it's really spread out. But I'm not going to put an hour number on it because it really changes so much. I'd say our story-based maps are a lot higher in audio scope. But usually maybe 8 to 12 weeks, but I'm working on several projects concurrently. So some of them have been spread out where I have one now. I worked on it for maybe 2 months, took a break, coming back to it now after like a 4-month break. So it can be pretty spread out.
Gotcha, I get you. So, if you had to choose one of your maps that Everbloom has done, that has been released, which one would be your favorite?
Well, I like a lot of the maps for different reasons. Now, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I really like Yeti Horror. I don't know, it just plays well for me, and that's the kind of game I like. I mean, and that's also for gameplay wise, it changes from person to person. Some people like story maps, some people like puzzle maps. But for the types of games I like to play, Yeti Horror was the one.
Now, I did like the Yeti Horror one. I did a Let's Play on it. I actually never beat it. I played through it a bunch of times. I got close. But
I think I've beaten it once. I played
that's
through
a
it a
hard
bunch as well.
one to do, but it's not discouraging.
Yeah, some of my, like, you may remember there's like some strings that come in occasionally. They're just kind of creepy sounds, and I don't know. I love those a lot.
Yes, and yeah, that did really well. The whole music thing, and so did you guys create any of the sound effects for that, or did you outsource all those and just simply put them in?
So a lot of them for like music was outsourced, I suppose you could say. For the strings and there's a lot of scary effects. I think we pulled a number of them from Haunted Mansion. But usually I find samples wherever, and then I'll change them, blend them. So you might hear one sound, but I may have taken like 9 sounds to create that sound and just take out little things from each of them. I like this, this pops here really well. I like these frequencies here. I don't like the low end. I'll replace the low end with something else, whatever. So there's a lot of blending going on, and really all single sounds are several sounds. So if you have 10 sounds, you might have really 100 sounds there.
Yeah, because after you get done tweaking them, it could sound completely different.
Yes. Yep.
All right, interesting. Yeah, I was not expecting you to say Yeti Yeti horror. I didn't. Now,
Yeah,
get me. I don't have nothing
what-
against that one. I think it's really good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Another one I like to play is Lucky Block Dungeon. That one I think is one of our best for gameplay because I mean you can replay it 80 billion times, and
Yes.
it's fun each time. But Mutant Caves is another one of our more recent ones that I think, at least audio wise, was great, and the story was great as well.
Now, yeah, that one also had a good amount of sounds, different sounds going on in it because it had so many different creatures.
Yeah, Kyle actually did pretty much all the work for that map, and we actually invested in this plugin, so almost all of the mob sounds came from his voice. So
Oh,
it's all
really?
transformed from his voice. Yeah. So new piece of technology for us.
Nah, I guess you guys have fun doing that.
Yes. It was amazing when he first brought it up. He's like, I found this plugin that, does this. I'm like, well, could you give me a sample? I was like, wait a second. That's a human voice? He's like, yep. But I'm like, man. So yeah, I think he made like twice as many sounds as that made it in the map. He just made so many, so he must have had a blast recording all of them.
Yeah, that does sound like a fun time. Now, you guys, your department, they're scattered too. You guys are not in one location, correct?
Correct. Yes. So at least for the sound department, I'm in Michigan. I'll say that. The two of Kyle and Patrick, they're on the West Coast. I'm not gonna say where, but yeah, they're far away
Gotcha.
from me, at least.
Okay, so if you were to say Everbloom in a whole, what would it be its greatest strength?
Stories, definitely. I mean, I think we're really the only studio that does the number of like story-based maps that we do. We invest a lot in voiceovers, and really, I mean, stories is what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, you definitely are. No one, even there are some that do have a little bit of a storyline and they'll follow it decently, but it just isn't as deep, I might say, as your guys' stories can get deep and sometimes even dark.
Yeah. Yep.
As I said, as Redstone Scientist said when he was on, he goes, like, guys, try to push the envelope as much as you can. And I am surprised sometimes some of the stuff you do get away with.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and there's some instances where we don't get away, which
he
is a
he
bummer, but understandable.
he told me about that one too. He's like, yeah, no, we don't always get away with it. And I'm like, yeah. I can understand that. But at the same time, I still when I see a story from you guys, I'm like, all right, that's going to be good. Just like a lot of people, including me, really like the story with the whole Prison Break and or the prequel to Prison Break, the Ender heist.
Yeah. Yep.
Which are
that. So Prison Escape was one of the maps I primarily did the sound on, and yeah, that was fun to work on. I was excited. I did Enderman Heist as well, so I was like, oh boy, we get to revise some things and improve upon it now that I've had more experience overall and worked on other projects, learned new things, and can come back to kind of try to do a better job. But there's definitely some moments in Prison Escape that are like, wow. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I said, it did really, I liked it. The story is just good to listen to. It doesn't feel like your average Minecraft story.
Right.
I had many people call, send me messages saying they weren't even really watching the Let's Play. They were just listening to the story because they thought it was interesting.
Right.
So what would you say was your least favorite map to work on?
Oh boy. I'd say there's two up there. One, so let me give a little backstory for justification for this. So I don't come off like completely rude and off the rails. So when I started sound design for Everbloom, I had no sound design experience. My only experience, and I got this job as someone recommended me as a joke, but I guess it wasn't received as a joke, and they thought they were being serious. so, so that's how I got the job, because I used to be a SoundCloud rapper back in the day. It was a good promotional stunt that I did in the building community within Minecraft. It went over really well. So a number of builders knew me as like, he's the Minecraft rapper guy.
Okay.
And I'd give these horrendous freestyles, and like, I think we were in TeamSpeak calls at the time, TeamSpeak and Skype. I'd just join random teams and freestyle, and then they'd kick me out. That was my recommendation. Like, we need someone who does sound. Oh, I got a guy. That rapper kid will do the job. But it turns out I actually learned a bunch, and now I can do the job.
Okay.
So it worked out good in the end. But that first map, which would be Jurassic Depths, I had no clue what I was doing. I never even contemplated the sound in a game. And it was like, all right, make the sounds, and I'm like, I don't know how, and I couldn't really be taught. I mean, no one had really done sounds yet in Everbloom. And then it was just slow, low quality. Had no clue what was happening within Minecraft. So for working on it, Jurassic Depths was a low point. But for the general maps, I mean, all of our maps were good, but some of our initial like mob-based maps where we just changed a few of the mobs, which I don't even know if these are up on the marketplace anymore. I don't know, they were just not much. Compared to like Animals has a lot more animations, behaviors, sounds, and even some of our other maps. I forget what's came out, so I'm not gonna say too much. But some of the older ones, I mean, they were just, at the time they were good. It was like new stuff at the time, but from now it's like, those are pretty bland maps.
Okay, I can understand that. So it was one of those learn as you go style processes, pretty much, when you first got started.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of learning, self-teaching, and I don't know, watching a lot of YouTube videos, figuring things out.
Okie dokie. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to ever play Dinosaur Depths, so I can't comment about it. But I've taken you did a lot of dinosaur sounds and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of dinosaur sounds. I mean, we had music. I don't think we had really any ambience. I know there was some alien character in there. I don't know. I started doing the voices, and they were like, "What? What?" It sounded horrendous, and I'm like, "That's the best I could do." And they're like, "No, no, that's not gonna work." So I mean, just frustration. I mean, really, you're doing something you've never done before. You can't expect to be the greatest ever at it. So,
understandable.
A hurdle that needed to get through, I'd say. But in the end, really, that map, audio-wise, it was surprisingly good, I'd say, for my first ever, I'd never even thought about sound. So I'm happy with the map, but the process of getting to where that map was in the end, audio-wise, oh boy.
Well, the cool thing is you actually answered another one of our questions in the process of that, because one of my normal questions was what motivated you to get into this type of game design, and you basically already covered that.
Right. Yeah. Although I'll add on to that. I will add on. So, although I didn't really expect to get here, my thing in general is things that people work with. So, or play or experience. So that was the first thing with Minecraft building that got me is, I make an environment that other people hop on this server, and, I built it in a certain way, so the player has to move a certain way around. You throw the certain colors in there, they feel a certain way, yada yada. And same thing with audio wise. And outside of Everbloom, I'm actually a programmer. finishing up my university studies in computer science, and same thing. All the applications I'm interested in creating, has a dedicated end user that this is going to help them out or make them feel some sort of way.
Okay.
So
So
overall,
eventually
it's the
you
same
wanna-
thing to me, but that's what I like.
Okay. So eventually you want to take that next step into much larger game design?
Potentially game design. I have some plans for over the next 4 or 5 years, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal at this point, but
Mhm.
there's more coming from me.
No problem. No problem. I mean, I'm pretty much everyone kind of has that goal that they're using their time with Minecraft as, a springboard to eventually get to,
Mhm.
other stuff. It's a great start.
For sure.
Great start.
Definitely. Yeah. Shoot. All the people I've met all across the world, I have friends everywhere, right? So many connections have been made just through Minecraft and, learning the basic skills and business, creation, communicating with the public, all sorts of things that, you could get outside, but Minecraft just has it all like conveniently right there. And it's easy to navigate, I'd say, to get
Oh yeah,
started.
oh yeah.
At
I
least.
mean, I got my start as a YouTuber here. I hope
Mhm.
one day to broaden out what I can do on YouTube too, and it will all be from starting out here in Minecraft. So yes, I do
Definitely.
understand exactly what you're talking about. And I am fortunate enough to get a chance to meet all these awesome developers and people. I may not be getting into development, but it's good to have these connections now, so that when these people do get bigger and start creating the bigger games, I always have a relationship with them, which is good.
Definitely. Yep.
Okie dokie. So here's a question that the big one. Outside of Everbloom, what studio do you like the most?
So I don't pay too much attention to other studios. I look at maps that catch my eye occasionally, or if I'm doing research, I might look at that. But I really don't. I don't know. They're not in my scope of view. I don't particularly care what they're doing unless they're doing something really well, in which case I'll take note. um, but who they are, I really don't know. I have a friends in a number of studios, mainly from back when I was building, um, which I don't even know if they do marketplace work anymore. But yeah, so that's pretty much my extent of looking at others. But as for any particular team, don't really have one.
Gotcha. So, what would you think about your favorite add-on or game that's not from Everbloom?
I was watching Quinn stream the other day, and I don't know what it's called, but I know there was a section where you could deliver like mail, I suppose, and then there was like this mermaid village, I guess, or something.
Oh, you're talking about.
don't know.
I have a
think it
let's
was
play
like-
on it. It starts with an S. I think it's Japanese.
I don't know what it is, but I like that one. I was watching the stream and I was like, ooh, that's a cool map.
Yes,
So-
I know what you're talking about. I'll leave a picture
Yep.
up in the video.
But it is, yeah.
But I did play that. That's the one where you also get the different jobs.
Yep, yeah, all the different jobs. Yes.
Yeah, you can make tea. You can work in the spa. I did a let's play on that. That was a good map. I did like that. It was very nicely done.
Right. Yeah, I thought it just seemed really clean to me, and I like the art style a lot as well. So that map stood out to me recently.
I liked everything about that, but the audio.
Yeah.
I would have done more with that map, but the audio is not copyright friendly, and
Oh, yep.
and so I
Yeah,
couldn't do as
that's
much as I
Hard
wanted
to work with.
because of that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But yes, I definitely agree that that is a really good map, and they did a really good job on that. So, I'd like to talk about, the current add-on that you guys are releasing at the time of these interviews. The one that I have just recently done would be the Castle Builder one.
Mm-hmm.
So, audio-wise, I think there's a lot going on in this one too. Am I correct?
There is a fair amount, yes.
But I mean, there's only a little bit of voice acting, but well, there's a lot of voice acting, but isn't it the same person?
I'm thinking of King Mindus, which is TRS. You might, I forget, like the traders and whatnot. I think they do have VO lines, little bit, not a ton, but yeah, there's a little bit there.
But I believe, yeah, I figured that was him. I'm starting to recognize his different voices. But yeah, the king in there says a whole lot because you have him. Every time you put something new together, he'll say something. And then every time you have a book read, that's him reading too, correct?
I can't remember specifically for the books being read, but definitely when you like build a room, I suppose. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've looked at that audio.
Yeah, it does. It's cool because if you get a book and you take it up to the reading room, it'll read it out, and you.
Oh, will it? So, there you go. Yeah, it's probably him then.
Yeah, and you get a lot more of the lore. It's another one of those interesting stories that that you guys managed to squeeze in, and this is just a casual builder. But then you have all the different sound effects of when you're putting things together and moving them. That's done well.
Right, and that's an extension of, I forget what our version is, but Modern Furniture. I forget that. I think that's what we called it, but I don't know. There's, I remember like 5 names for every map. So I think whatever, our furniture map that did really well. So that. It was a kind of a continuation of that. We added a ton more sounds for this. Did a lot better job at matching things to animations, and yeah, just a lot more custom furniture sounds for that map, which I think turned out quite well.
Oh, yes, definitely quite well. Just as always. Well, we are just about out of time, and like I say every time, I don't want to keep you guys here too long, because I know you're always working. But before we go, you said that do you have any other platforms that you kind of create on? Like, you don't do any like Twitter or YouTube or anything, do you?
I am on Twitter. It's the1qua1 JSUCSH, which is a mouthful. I am also on YouTube. I don't really post much on either platforms. I kind of keep quiet on those unless, well, I'll retweet something occasionally. But if you want to look at some of my builds, those will be up on YouTube. I did cinematics back in the day as well, so more build inspiration. And that channel, I believe, is, if you just look up the Kwa, KWA on YouTube, it'll come right up.
Okay, what I'll do is when we're done, send that to me, and I'll leave it in a link in the description of the video.
Sure,
that way people can go check out even more of your work. But I just want to say thank you once again for coming on and doing this interview with me. Like I said, the audio from your guys' team is some of my favorite. So I was really happy to actually be able to talk to somebody from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you guys
great
for
being
watching
on here.
this. Oh, wait. Sorry. Did you say something?
Yep. Yeah, thanks for having us on. I've enjoyed watching the series and also appreciate you taking the time to spotlight us. So thank you as well.
No problem. Like I said, we still have a lot more coming from your studio. I think we have at least one more team member to interview. We have another game to review and or let's play. Not to mention, I have to pick some more showcase ones. So we're nowhere near done with this awesome studio. So please make sure to stay tuned by hitting that like and that notification button if you're not already subscribed. All right, guys. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Thanks again, Kwa, for being on. And I will see everybody next time. Average Arcader out.